Hello, land of YouTube and Facebook too. I forgot. I turned both of you on at the same time. So I'll just quickly share this message to where misfits fit, since that is where I would invite you to come and sit with me and you and all who would join us in a new view of what's coming. Tomorrow, I'm going to be interviewing Bishop Larry Gators and would love to invite you to join in the show. We'll be streaming it live to Facebook, so you can jump on at Where Misfits Fit, Home for Soulful Seekers, which is a community I started a few years ago because what we really need to understand is that all of us black sheep in the family who feel like we have been pushed to the edges, we have become fringe dwellers. And what we have to understand is, as fringe dwellers, if we understand that we can just knit ourselves together and realize that we are the wave, when we actually come together and then can start radiating outwards like we are the wave, that is when we can be the change that we came here to be. My friends, there is no one coming to save us. We are it. You, my friend, are who you've been waiting for your entire life. Salute. To you who is inside of the you that you present yourself to be, because my God, you are so much more. My God, your God, our God, whatever you say is the label you put on the grand overall designer that created all things, including you and me too. We who came from it are here right now to be the change. And what so many people are not doing is accepting personal responsibility, because tribally we have been taught not to. We have to understand the conditioning that we have went through to become who we have become. And everything that has pushed us to our limits and breaking points previously was all to serve us. Instead of life happening to us, we have to understand it's happened for us because it needed to strengthen us for us to get to the next moment, ready for what is coming. And we are here in a thought war where the land being fought for is our own being, our soul. We are here to understand who we are and were and will be the whole time. It's the same. Thank you. It is, c'est la vie. It's how we choose to see the world from our perspective. And what we got to understand is that we are only as good as the information we have access to and our ability to discern and filter that information too. We have to understand how to actually use our intuition, which is the tuition our soul paid ahead of time in order for our soul to be here, to stand in the light so bright that we are able to help others spark their own passion again, because far too how to do so. We have got lost in this cultural wheel that we are all cogs in until we realize that together we are the machine. Together, we are not just cogs, we are the wheel, we are the frame, we are everything that makes that thing go round. If we continue to push forward and drive forward an agenda that would have us become slaves to turn off chromosome 8, did you know? That is what the thing that no one can talk about is about. And if we have the 8th chromosome turned on, what does that control? Empathy. Of course it does. It was said to be the free thinking gene, and that made sense, but then emotional resiliency. I'm getting notifications to say that there's an energy transmission taking place I won't be a part of, because I am really focused on what I'm working on and wanted to bring to you to say that I really need to finish The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And so I am going to do that as soon as I possibly can. I also am going to share my story with you, the memoir, which ironically, when I was at the mental health institution, when the police officer who brought me in last October or September 27th, actually, he, when describing what she was doing to head office, said she was writing her memoir or recording her memoirs. And it was like, my memoirs? And then it's like, oh yeah. So I have a video if you want to see it of me en route to the police station. And I'll admit, I was a bit over the top. I was playing, but I was also fully committed. And that's the thing. When we fall out of our heads and into our heart, we fully commit to the moment, and there is magic in that that cannot be taught, and it cannot be justified or quantified or qualified either, other than the feeling that we get. And these are the things that we need to understand how to actually maneuver, because our emotional awareness, that gene inside of us that allows us to be free and critical thinkers, is what they would have us turn off in order to make us robots, like the zombies that we've seen all of these movies about for so long. Did you know that black magic only works if you actually know what's going on, so that then the ones that are casting it on us say that we deserved it because they told us what they were doing and we just laughed? Because they said it with a smile and you kind of weren't sure, so you laughed awkwardly because it's interesting and that's terrifying. And then it's like, well, surely that doesn't happen anymore in this civilized age that we live in. Well, my friends, I'm sorry to say it does. There's a lot of really crazy things that are and have been happening for a really long time that we have not been aware of. And the fact of the matter is that once we start being introduced to the people that can give us keys to the kingdom of our own awareness, that is when then we put the puzzle together and we become those fringe dwellers that knit the whole world together, that web of interconnection. We are actually able to unite in the name of what is right and just, and freedom is what is being fought for here, my friends. The Magna Carta, if you are not familiar with Article 61, it's important to familiarize yourself with that, because that is what gives us permission to say, as barons of the lands that are us, that the king is not doing the duty that we committed to, or is trying to implement an order or a rule that is not for the ones that serve, that he serves, she serves. The head, the crown, is where we are meant to receive the information from the divine. Did you know that the corona is that gaseous field around the sun that is basically just different chemicals outside of it? But we have that too. It's called our aura. And if our aura is unclean, we need to purify it, which is why last night, as I was teaching or sharing the emotional high rise of awareness to my friend, she was taking the picture, and ultimately behind me was a frog. He's a really fun guy, very colorful too, which I loved. But the point is that the frog symbolically represents purification, and that's what we must do. Our aura, when we are able to purify it, when we are able to purify the vessel that contains our soul, then we put our spirit back in the driver's seat and are actually able to do what we came here for, because each of us have survived 100% of the darkest days of our lives in order to get to the darkest winter yet. It's literally called Operation Dark Winter if you want to look into that. Many have referenced it, including the president-elect, is it? Or the one that is said to have won, but when we know that actually there is a water stamp that's connected to a blockchain that's connected to the voting system, then we'll actually understand that what we're being told in the mainstream media is not the truth. It is just the narrative that they, who are they, is what we really need to be asking, want us to see and hear and think and believe in this mind op, the psy-op, that is the governed mind, the governmental control body, the mind control. Govern is control, and ment is the mental body. And when we understand that this whole psyop, that we've been told about MK Ultra, but nobody wants to believe that that's actually a thing. And maybe if it is, it's just Hollywood. But these stars are the gladiators of the modern day Roman times, so to speak, because it's just all patterns. We're patterned people. We have to understand we've been told by the great philosophers of the past that we are standing on the shoulders of giants because that is what our lineage is. All who came before us planted seeds in cells of recognition within us for when we came into a similar thing. And what we must understand is that not only do we have the ancestors that we can technically track, we also have ourselves who have been some of those players and characters in the game. And then we also have the other lifetimes and places and things that we have been before we came here as this version of us in the ultimate video game called life. Bishop Larry Gators and I will not be talking about this per se tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I interview him for part 2 of the spiritual roots of sickness and disease, which is dis-ease, cellular disharmony within the vessel that contains the soul, that feels very unrestful when there is a 5 alarm blaring going on over the loudspeaker and we're trying to meditate or do whatever. That's what stress is. And so right before this, I was actually watching a video, and the light changes because there's a lot of light in this, and I would highly recommend it. And I was watching Alberto Villoldo's video. I can't remember which one it is specifically. It was from April 1st, though. And it was about calling the jaguar back and understanding that the jaguar is representative of our nervous system because it's the part that is fierce and has no predators, but when it feels threatened, it goes into a tree and cannot be coaxed down until it is settled. And therefore, we have to understand that as the jaguar keeper that we are, we have to learn how to settle the nervous system in order for the jaguar to come out of the tree. And so Alberto Villoldo actually led us through a guided visualization I want to share with you then in the next Inner Child Peace Summit that will be happening on the 19th of November, next Thursday, 1 week from today at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please definitely invite your friends, come along to attend. I stream it live to Facebook, and I will do my best to figure out how to also get it over streaming on YouTube live as well, because I'd like for you to be able to participate, and it would be really nice for me to not have to actually spend all of that time editing because there's so much and everything is happening. That's why The Alchemist has not yet been finished, but I started it many months ago, and 2 weeks ago or however long ago it was that I actually picked it back up. I didn't post over to YouTube because I haven't posted the section I did before that too, and I want to make sure you have access to the book in order. But I also want to get through it. And I also think it's very significant that in The Alchemist, the part where we are, the boy, the shepherd, he who is pursuing his dream has just joined a caravan and they're going through the desert. And what the Englishman came with him and wanted to gain all of his wisdom from the books and the theories and the legends of the past, who left keys he wanted to be able to glean from and thought that was the best way, while the boy, the shepherd, understood that life is teaching us through the journey because that is where the joy is found. Joy, start and end the journey. And so it is time for us to understand that in that book, at the passage where I just left off, when they decided to swap their learning styles, the boy found that he did not gain as much because ultimately the emerald tablets were the summation or the culmination of all the wisdom that needed to be gleaned. And the Englishman was offended in a way that the boy was not impressed by all that he had read and instead said that it was just the secret of life can be written on an emerald tablet, that blew the boy away and made him say, I could learn more from the land. While the man who had been watching the land, he said that he didn't learn much by looking at the desert and the sand and the people that he was riding with and finally paying attention to, because his name was not stuck in a book. His nose was not stuck in a book. And then when the boy asked what he had learned from changing and watching the land, he said all he heard was the people talking about war more and more. just where we left off in The Alchemist, then they land where it's not just a mirage, it's actually an oasis in the middle of the desert, a refuge, a respite place where the caravan, was able to stay until the war and the warnings of it maybe or desisted, fell away, moved away, parted the seas, and then they could carry on their way. But at that place where they were meant to stay, there was a alchemist, a master, one who knew that his protege, his student, had come as part of that caravan, and he just wasn't sure which one would be the one. But he would know when he, like Morpheus, met Neo, who is the one in different ordering. And that's where we'll end the video in terms of scared and sacred being same words, different order. Creative and reactive, same words, different order. To coax the jaguar down, we've got to calm the nervous system. We have to actually be able to move energy with sound, vibration, and understand that frequency is how we move and change states. Clear air, use the whistle, use tune. Just vibe into you what works for you and use that, because that's what's going to really work for you. And what we all need to do is figure out how our soul speaks to us, because that's what the boy, if he is the one the alchemist chooses as his protege, and the Englishman too must learn to do, and what we too must do, because we are our hats, which Michael Seegers introduced me to this term of, and in a group called the Ascended Masters on Facebook I joined today through an invitation. I actually messaged and said, we're not Ascended Masters, that we have the capacity and potential to do, and that is what we are here to do. That is why self-mastery is the pinnacle of the motivational needs. It is our ability to actually do what we came here for, to self-actualize and be all that we can be after we have achieved respect, belonging, safety, and survival as the foundation. And when we were at the operating level of survival, reactivity, and stress, strain, that's when that 5 blaring alarm is so loud we can't think. Well, our conscious mind is how we imagine a new state of being. And that's what we are called to do once we have calmed that jaguar down, to get back to the ground and be able to look around with new eyes from having had a higher view for a while. I hope you can join tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Bishop Larry Gators and I. I also would love for you to be able to attend the Inner Child Peace Summit that will happen November 19th from 4 till 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time too. And the following week on Thursday, the 26th of November, I will also be joining with Richard Gordon, sorry. Richard Gordon and I will be coming together from 4 till 6 again for an Inner Peace Summit. And what I am asking is for active participation. What I'm saying is that we have a lot of experts. We have a lot of people that know a lot. And what we need is masters, which is a different level of expertise entirely. It is when we have learned to embody what we have studied and become experts in. And that is when we are able to contribute what we have gleaned without being attached to how things seem and where they come from. Because when we get too attached to the box that we put God into, then we reverse the orders of God to make him, her, it into a dog. And what happens when you back a dog into a corner? The bitch bites, my friend. Peace out, or should I say, peace in. Look how the light changes when I share a truth, or is it? You decide. Feel it. You felt it. What did you feel? I have Moonology cards and I would love to draw one for you and all of us. And so I will say, whatever comes out, that is going to be ours. Our plans need an actionable plan. Practical is actionable. We've got to know what we can do. Luck is on our side. It's time, my friends. Let us unite. A personal issue reaches resolution to free you. It's time to take action and know you and your loved ones are safe. We gotta be able to protect ourselves. It is true. And when we do, that is when we can be bold and make the first move. It is true. This is upside down. Suddenly it was all the same. That's what the devil is. Did you know that when Satan fell, he became Lucifer? Because that is where he landed. The devil is what looks good but is evil, and the D of the good makes the evil seem really good. The devil tricks you into thinking he isn't real and he's just some fictitious imagining. That is what C.S. Lewis wrote in The Screw. That is you. It just rhymed. It didn't actually. It's not that. Communication is key. We've got to be willing to actually go with the flow, but also say, no, that was just for effect. But the truth is that when we actually approach the fiery climax, we must bring love into the situation. And every climax is better when there is love. Let's be real. When there's not, we are just filling space and being filled by space that doesn't care. And there is no air to breathe in that. So that's the end. We got to work through our fears. We've got to know, ho ho, Christmas is coming. I got to surrender to the divine, my friends. There is big stuff that is coming. And we just have to meditate and contemplate what is here, what is coming. The moon is a great guide. Her lunar cycles are the mother in the sky, and we are on the ultimate mother who we came here to work with and learn to love, even though she may not have been what we thought she needed to be in the moment when we needed her to be other than she was, because we needed ourselves to be other than we were, and we were changing and growing into the dream that always starts out fitting a few sizes too big. So that, my friends, is the end. And as you may already know, I often say goodbye a few times before it actually happens. So I'll make this one the true end and say thank you very much for tuning in. Share this message with a friend. Tell them movie medicine works a trick if they are just needing a little lift, I was going to say, but lick rhymed. So you really have to decide in the moment whether you're going to go with the thing that rhymes or whether you're going to go with the thing that is actually more legitimately appropriate for the sentence. It's a sacrifice, but everything is a sacrifice. Everything is a sacrifice. And then every is also a universal or a definitive, which means there is no doubt, there is no question. So anytime you hear yourself say every, always, never, those are opportunities for you to recognize a patterned way of thinking you have no doubt about. And if there is no doubt, then there is no room for growth. So I would encourage you to get clear on what feels true for you and then say toodaloo. Thank you for tuning in and have a great night. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for tuning in, truly.